Welcome to Ambler, Pennsylvania. I'm Theresa.
And I'm Mark.
And we've lived in Ambler for 2 decades.
We're home improvement contractors, we're designers, and we're content creators. Our website is called myfixituplife.com.
Ambler was settled in 1682 when the Harmer family bought a tract of land along the Wissahickon from William Penn. And Wissahickon means where the catfish jump. They soon built a grist mill, and then the Lenni Lenape started their move out west.
Later on, along the creeks of the Wissahickon and the tributaries that feed it, came along 9 more mills: lumber, flour, and cloth. Those tributaries became mill races, and thus began Ambler's long history of making and remaking itself.
Today, Ambler makes something else. It is the town center for all of the surrounding suburbs. Through good times and bad, you can still see the through lines of its history and its buildings in town.
Today, thousands of people come to Ambler to enjoy its movie theater, its skate park, its many, many restaurants, its grocery store, its symphony, its playhouse. From water wheels to coal-fired infernos that fueled the industrial production of asbestos, to Superfund sites, to hometown, this is the story of a town that invents and reinvents itself time and again.
The iconic Ambler Theatre, with its Spanish colonial architecture, opened its doors on New Year's Eve in 1928. There was one screen, and it seated 1,228 people. The movie they played that night was The Dancing Daughters, starring Joan Crawford.
The Spanish colonial architecture, evocative of minarets, vaults, hand carvings, emblems, and all kinds of incredible detail, begged the question, could this stone structure even be built today? It's phenomenal to look at, it's great to be inside, and the Ambler Theatre staff has an uncanny knack for not only showing great lectures and independent films, but for picking Oscar winners to put on their screen.
And recently, the building caught the eye of Silver Linings Playbook author Matthew Quick. And you can see the picture of the Ambler Theatre on the cover of his new book, We Are the Light.
The current theater looks as much as possible like the original theater built in 1928. The carpet is remade from old photographs. The ticket booth is made to match the pipe organ loft. The loft is still there in the main theater. The pipe organ is sadly long gone. There are even samples of old curtains, which are almost certainly 2 things: fireproof and made from the thing that made Ambler, asbestos.
And next door to the Ambler Theatre, they're installing a museum that has early film projector equipment in it, even a camera from 1928, and all of the cameras can work, which is pretty cool.
Planned obsolescence wasn't planned in 1928. They built that stuff for life.
So let's go inside. Visitors to the Ambler Theatre are first greeted by this glorious promenade that has carpeting that matches the original, paint colors that match the original, and brackets that are original to the building. And at the end of the promenade is the ticket booth. And the ticket booth was created in the style of the organ lofts that are in the largest theater in the Ambler Theatre. And beyond the ticket booth is the green room. And the green room houses a collection of the town's historic photography.
Theresa mentioned the architectural reproductions. From crown molding to corbels or brackets to the groin vaulted style ceiling in here, raised panels, and all kinds of attention to detail, the architecture in here, never mind the movies, just the architecture is mouthwatering. Then you've got popcorn to look forward to, and all of that speaks to my inner carpenter.
Like the rest of Ambler, the Ambler Theatre went through tumultuous times during the last half of the 20th century. It went through a few different owners, and the grand 1,228-seat theater was divided into three. Today, this is what remains of the Grand Theatre. A nonprofit was formed in 2001 to restore it as best as they could using photographs and the paint chips from the walls that still remained. Built in 1893, the Queen Anne-style Wyndham Hotel had 28 rooms for rent and 17 other rooms. It had a 150-foot deep well in its basement to supply water to all of the rooms. It was the second hotel built in town, but sadly the Ambler Hotel, which was situated next to the train tracks, was lost to fire. Today, it's a restaurant. And to make it even more fun, the current owners have installed a speakeasy door that has real books. And it looks like a bookcase. And if you open it up, you can go upstairs, and that's where they have private parties. It's really fun.
And to paint a further picture of what life was like in 1893, one of the key elements to this hotel was parking. It had a stable in back for 40 horses, which burned down in about 1920.
Established in 1908 by the Deck family, Deck's Hardware is the oldest continuously run business in Ambler, passed down through 3 generations. The town of Ambler and its residents have come to rely upon the knowledgeable and friendly staff.
The buildings that make up Deck's Hardware are an amalgamation of buildings that were acquired over the 100 or so years Deck's has been in business. It's a maze in there, but that amalgamation of buildings to the residents of Ambler, contractors like me and DIYers alike, is a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. The people who work in there not only know what they're doing, know what the products are, they know where they are and which ones are the best for you. I realize this sounds like an ad, but I come in here 4 times a week. It's a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts, and right now are the last 2 weeks in the 100-year story arc of Deck's. They're having a retirement sale. The next generation of Deck's aren't going to pick it up. So the future of this absolute critical piece of fabric in Ambler's history is uncertain. But its past is cast. Deck's Hardware has served this community, served their own business for well over 100 years. It stores concrete, pellets, bagged items, potting soil now, but the original purpose for this structure was a stable. Back when this store opened, the way the inventory got here was they would take the horse and carriage, go down the hill to the train tracks, pick up their stuff, and come back here and deliver it to the store. The current owner's great-grandfather even had a polo horse, which used to live right in here. The store has an elevator, it has wall construction that's awesome, there are hidden details all over the place, and this store won't soon be forgotten.
The brick building behind me is the Boiler House, and it's the tallest building in Ambler. It powered the asbestos factory, and the asbestos factory was owned by Keesby and Madison, and it was a company town. So like a lot of company towns of that era, they owned pretty much everything in town, from the utilities to the houses that the workers lived in, and the workers rented those houses back from the company. Nearest to the asbestos factory, there were worker houses that were brick row homes. Just beyond there were twin Queen Anne's, and then beyond there are Gothic Revival twins that line Highland Avenue. And for the executives of the company, they built Gothic Revival mansions that are across the street from Lindenwald Castle, which was Doc Madison's home.
The Ambler Boiler House represents a perfect storm of natural resources, invention, genius, and the relentless push of the Industrial Revolution. Located near a freshwater source and a mineral source called dolomite, 2 men were at the center of this movement that turned Ambler from a waning grain milling town in the late 1800s into a center of global industrial production. Madison, a pharmacist and inventor, found a way to get asbestos mixed with this regionally available mineral dolomite to adhere to pipe that rendered it two things: highly insulated and fireproof. Having done that and mastered this process, Madison was then able to sell that, creating a Gilded Age wealth that's mind-bending, but even better, turn that into other products. Everything from curtains to roof shingles, building supplies, you name it. If you could put asbestos in it, how about pajamas? There were asbestos pajamas because they were fireproof. It turned this whole place into an absolute frenzy of manufacturing. It also turned this whole place into a frenzy of mind-bending, unconscionable disposal and pollution. Just over here is where the factory dumped the tailings from the asbestos. It's called the White Mountains. Back then, it was a sign of wealth, so to speak, and kids even used to play back there. Now it's a Superfund site. When asbestos and the wealth associated with it left town in the 60s and 70s, the boiler house here, which powered the factories and has an incredible catwalk in there because this building was full of massive coal-fired furnaces. You couldn't just walk around those things. The workers had to walk all the way upstairs, traverse a catwalk, and walk all the way back down to do their jobs. Abandoned and hulking in a brownfield full of industrial pollution, this place was so messed up, there was a coal car in there buried on the first floor. It was a disaster. However, the developer, inspired by a documentary movie called Spellbound, where one of the characters in that movie showed the Ambler boiler house as her backdrop, the developer pumped $18 million into this project, turned it into a platinum, LEED certified, hyper efficient, super clean building, and once again, Ambler reinvents itself, surpassing its own achievements of glory days past.
Before the town of Ambler was incorporated in 1888, it was known as the village of Wissahickon. The town decided to take the name Ambler in honor of Mary Ambler, whose heroic volunteerism after the great train wreck of 1856 saved many people's lives. There were 2 passenger trains that had a head-on collision carrying 1,100 people. She not only went down to the crash site to help tend to the wounded, she also volunteered her home as a makeshift hospital. From its early days as a mill town to the creation of the train station and then hosting the Montgomery County Agricultural Exposition that featured horse racing, that transferred Ambler into a company town and built most of what you see in Ambler today, including Lindenwald Castle, which is behind me. We hope that you'll come to Ambler to enjoy some of our community events like the Dog Days of Summer, Music Fest, and the Holiday Parade, take in a movie at the Ambler Theatre, or enjoy one of the restaurants or shops along Butler Avenue. Thank you for watching. And for more information about Mark and me and My Fix It Up Life, check out myfixituplife.com. And we're on all the social networks too. So we hope to hear from you.